And so the past 13 years, you've been doing this in many different ways. And how has this grown and changed and morphed? Because you've done documentary films, you've done podcasts about this, you've gone deep on the human trafficking side. Tell me about all of that.
So the podcast went off in a direction of really trying to learn about this in many different ways. I wanted to understand how child slave labour and human trafficking really applied, and the kind of injustices that took place. So I'll give you some stats. 500,000 kids go missing every year in the United States. Disappear. Like disappear.
And that's not immigrant kids, that's just United States. 500,000.
Yeah. Every town and every city in the United States and the UK, trafficking takes place.
Wow.
Coventry, Brighton, Norwich, all of them, it takes place under our eyes.
And these kids just disappear, and people look for them, and then they give up.
They sometimes don't even look for them. So you have the foster care system. Kids go missing through that. In developing countries, in developing countries, life has less value. And because of that, sometimes people have kids and they can't afford to keep the kids. Probably a good movie to watch to understand that is Slumdog Millionaire.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, these kids are born into poverty. They don't have so much value. But I just don't believe that's right. I think kids need a chance, you know, and so I've learned all about human trafficking, I've learned about child slave labour, and I've met the heroes. Hannah Badi in Nepal, she was a prostitute at the age of 8.
Gosh.
Her mum and dad made her a prostitute.
Wow.
Can you imagine that?
No.
This just doesn't even, but she said no, she ran away. Now where we were in the village with her was a 2.5-hour flight from Kathmandu. That's a 2-week trek that she made when she was 10 years old to Kathmandu. She got there, she met a priest. The priest said he'd help, but he had to travel. While he travelled, he got cancer, throat cancer. He prayed to God and he said to God, if you get me through this throat cancer, I will help that girl in her village. He got through the cancer and he helped. 700 children rescued from the village, a school that she fundraised for and built, plus accommodation for all of those 700 kids. On an absolute mission to solve this problem. In India and in Nepal, you have a caste system. So the low of the low is the low, and up there they don't talk to the people down there.
Right.
Her caste wasn't allowed to go to school, wasn't allowed to go into a supermarket. They were that low. But we got the attention of the president of the country. Once we got the attention of the president wanted to meet. We were able then to show the president what we were doing, and the president said, let me fight for you. And never before, and you'll see it in the documentary, never before has anyone from Hannah's caste ever been able to shake hands with the president. The president, the female president, took Hannah in her arms and held her, put her head on her breast, and she said, I'll fight for you. And in the first time in history this has happened. And so when you see stuff like this, you see that there's hope and there's progress, but there's just so much work to do. And I can interview business people on my podcast, and I can learn about business to bring value to my audience.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.
Audience. But I think people need to learn about what's going on in the world, and because I believe people are kind, and if people get the chance to try and help, they will. And so I'm not a fundraiser or anything like that, but you might know someone, okay, that makes caftans. that I could call and I could get a discount on caftans from. Okay, that might be the one bit of help you can do. You actually might know somebody, okay, that makes rucksacks for school. Or maybe I can contact them and I can get some discounts on some rucksacks. Yeah. It's all little pieces that make a difference in the end. And I promise you, these kids, you spend 15 minutes with them, okay, they're more addictive than any drug you've ever seen in your life. They're just phenomenal. They're just incredible kids to be around. Our friend Sadia came one day. She said, I want to meet these girls. And we went, and it was last Ramadan actually, we went out for iftar with the girls, and she's like, they're just awesome. And she then connected with them, and she's worked with them ever since.
Wow. Now, there was a movie that came out in the States last year, The Sound of
Freedom.
Mm-hmm. And it was not shown in theaters, and there was a bunch of private screening, and I think Hollywood didn't really want to address it, but a lot of people saw it, and I think it was a dramatic film, but based on, I think, child trafficking, and it opened a lot of people's eyes. What did you think of that? Was that a helpful thing to start that discussion? What was the reaction to that? Are changes being made in the States or anywhere else?
So this is where the film is fantastic. Okay, a really fantastic film. It depicts the scenario exactly as it would happen. Okay, so it's very, very real in what happened. And the work then that was done to go and rescue the children is work that lots of great people do. Operation Underground Railroad do that. And so there's lots of great work. It was frightening for people when they saw it, to see that it happens. Okay, some people don't like it because a lot of trafficking involves people that are much higher placed than the average guy. And so you're dealing with organised crime. If you compare it to the drug industry, I am a drug dealer and I sell you a bag of cocaine. You consume the cocaine, the transaction is over. I'm a human trafficker. I sell you a child. You're finished with the child. Your friend wants the child. I sell your friend the child. Your friend's finished with the child. His friend wants the child. I sell the friend the child. So I've made X amount on you, X amount on him, X amount on him, all for this one child. The money in it is so much bigger than the drug industry. It's insane. It's probably the biggest, and also very difficult, okay, to catch the criminals. It's probably one of the biggest forms of organised crime that exists on the planet.
And difficult to catch the criminals because it's hard to follow and trace all that back and prove things. And
the kids are brainwashed.
Wow.
So they're brainwashed, and so they don't speak out.
So scary. And let's say, for example, the cartels in Mexico. Recently, we've seen, obviously pre-Trump, all this immigration coming through the borders. And people were saying that the cartels were making more money off of trafficking those people through the borders than they were even on the drugs, maybe from what you just said.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure there's not only the adult trafficking through the borders, but then there's also child trafficking that they're doing too. And you're saying this is big business for big organized crime, and it's a bigger business than even the drug trade.
10 times bigger than drugs. Wow. You can only use the drugs once. You can reuse kids. You can reuse teenagers. You can reuse young girls. Lena, who was in the documentary, Lena was from Bulgaria. Young lady, 17 years old, had a boyfriend, dated him for 3 or 4 months, nice guy, took her out for dinner, took her on holiday, and after 3 months he said to her, Lena, babe, you need to get yourself a job, I'm not going to just carry you. She's like, no, that's fair. He said, I think there's some work at the hotel. He takes her to the hotel that evening, she's thinking bar work or waitressing work. He said, I've spoken to the manager, we've just got to put you in this room because he wants to come and interview you. She's like, okay. So he puts her into one of the hotel rooms and says, I'll be back in 10 minutes. Well, he makes her have sex with 10 men that night.
Jesus.
And then every night for the next 3 years. And threatened to kill her mum and her sister if she didn't. He then drove her to Amsterdam and put her in the red light district, where she worked, and he was the pimp. Every day, until one customer, a Dutch guy, went in 2 or 3 times to see her and realised that she didn't want to be there. And then he said, why don't you come to my apartment, check it with your pimp, come to my apartment and let's do what we need to do there. The pimp agreed. She went to the apartment. He grabbed her phones from her, threw the phones in the canal and called the police. She'd come from Bulgaria where she was scared of the police. She thought the Dutch police were the same, but the guy knew what to do. And the police then protected her. But it took 10 years to get the guy convicted.
Wow.
I worked with the newspapers there, I worked with the lawyers and the investigators that were all part of it. 10 years to get a conviction, and he got 3 years in prison after 10 years.
How do you get out of a rat race? How do you create wealth not only for yourself, but also for the generations to come after?
I am absolutely amazed with the quality of companies that we're getting exposure to.
We go on to Zoom calls with the innovators and the folks who are building new applications in metaverse, blockchain, artificial intelligence, decentralized finance.
What's going on, everybody? Thumbs up if you can see me.
We are focusing on early stage investment.
And the quality of people that we're getting exposure to, whether it be Dan Tapiero with 1RT, Jason Ma from Open, Yatsu from Animoca.
It's been a phenomenal experience thus far. It has far exceeded my expectations.
We are focusing on cutting edge technologies.
I view it now as the best investment I've ever made. The upside, I view, is unlimited.
And as a retail investor, I would never get this exposure anywhere else outside of Investment Club.
See you in the Investment Club.